90% of species that have ever lived on Earth have been wiped out due to a mass extinction event, which is defined as an occurrence that causes a significant loss in biodiversity over a small amount of time. Perhaps the most devastating of these mass extinction events occurred during the Permian time period around 251.4 million years ago. This event is formally known as the Great Dying. During this particular mass extinction event, 96% of all marine species and 70% of all terrestrial species went extinct, 75% of species on Earth. Perhaps the most devastating of these mass extinction events occurred during the Permian time period around 251.4 million years ago. This event is formally known as the Great Dying. During this particular mass extinction event, 96% of all marine species and 70% of all terrestrial species went extinct. There are several theories on the cause of such a large-scale die-off, such as the release of methane from the sea floor, a large increase in volcanic activity, sea level change, decreasing levels of oxygen in the ocean, desertification, and changing sea currents. The boundary between the Permian-Triassic layers indicate that there was a 14.5-degree Fahrenheit increase in Earth's temperature, and that atmospheric CO2 levels were 2,000 parts per million. To put that in perspective, current atmospheric CO2 levels are around 390 parts per million. Terrestrial habitats act as Earth's largest carbon sink, as they take up about 29% of global CO2 emissions. A fully functioning forest, that is a forest that is not disturbed by man, has an incredible capacity to regenerate itself. Exhaustive deforestation and hunting decrease the species of plants and animals that help contribute to forest regeneration. According to the Center for Biological Diversity, extinction is a natural phenomenon that occurs at a background rate of about 1 to 5 species a year. However, scientists estimate that we are now losing species at about 100 to 10,000 times the background rate. According to a study done by the IUCN, approximately 99% of currently threatened species are at risk from human activities. Habitat loss and the introduction of exotic non-native species are the greatest contributors to these extinctions. The ocean is the world's second largest carbon sink, as about 26% of global CO2 emissions are taken up by the Earth's oceans. But that distinction does not come without consequences. Through the ocean's absorption of carbon dioxide, the effects of greenhouse gas emissions have been delayed. But the ocean is reaching a tipping point, or in other words, it can no longer maintain equilibrium. Since the start of the Industrial Revolution, the sea is about 30% more acidic. The ocean's pH has dropped by 1/10 of a pH unit, which affects many different marine organisms. It breaks down many animals' calcium carbonate shells and can also aid in coral bleaching. Dr. Carol Turley from the Plymouth Marine Laboratory says that it's very difficult to predict how marine organisms will react, but she fears many will not survive. Before humans were the dominant species on Earth, these mass extinction events were a natural phenomenon. But that is no longer the case. Human beings are having both an undeniable and undesirable effect on the planet's climate. Carbon dioxide is being emitted into the atmosphere at unprecedented levels and at unseen speed. The United States alone emitted 6,957 million metric tons of carbon dioxide in 2008, and those levels are only increasing. According to the University of New York, Professor Mikio Kaku, over the past 100 to 200 years, human activities have been responsible for the loss of 1.4% of all plant and animal species on Earth. He continues to explain how this loss of life is 1,000 times faster than the past, due to factors such as human population, development, and pollution. So is it too late to act? He says we have no choice.
Extreme ways are back again, extreme places I didn't know. I broke everything new again, everything that I'd owned. I threw it out the windows, came along. ways I know will part the colors of my sea. Perfect color me. Extreme ways that help me out late at night. Extreme places I had gone but never see any light. Dirty basements, dirt noise, dirty places coming through. Extreme worlds alone, ever like a pen. I would stand in line for this. There's always room in life for this.